Okay, I recognize that this Impressions video is late to the Metroid Dread party, but in all fairness, I don't get games early, so all I can do to join the conversation is be fashionably late. Two quick things before I get started. Number one, there will be spoilers in this video. After all, I'm discussing my first impressions with the game. I don't think I spoil anything that wasn't in the official trailers, but just in case, you've been warned. Number two, to follow what's happening in this game, you should know the story up through Metroid Fusion. If you're confused about anything I mention, go play Fusion. Right then, Metroid Dread starts off with a mystery. The Galactic Federation receives a transmission that seemingly shows an X-Parasite alive in the wild, which is kind of a bad thing. The Feds send out 7 versatile and nearly indestructible robots called EMI to investigate.
EMI stands for Expert Planetary Multiform Mobile Identifier.
Thanks, Adam. Being nearly indestructible means the mission should be short and easy. So of course, communication with the EMI is almost immediately lost. Not sure what I was expecting there, but if the Federation didn't drop the ball, then I wouldn't have much to do in this game, I suppose. Either way, Samus ends up heading to the planet ZDR, where the transmission originated from, to pick up where the Federation left off. She's not exactly alone, still having her ship's computer, named Adam, to give her advice and keep her company. Upon entering the underground of ZDR, Samus faces off against what appears to be a Chozo in a power suit. Although the face isn't revealed, so really it could be anything. It's left open how the confrontation ended, but appears Samus lost all of her abilities as a result. Something else is afoot, because after linking back up with Adam via network station, Samus is told there have been dramatic physical changes to her, which is likely why her suit powered down. Samus's mission has changed from investigation to survival, and now she needs to make her way back to her ship. Standing in her way are 7 EMI units that may or may not have been reprogrammed to act hostile towards Samus, as well as multiple bosses, robots, and the wildlife of ZDR. Public enemy number 1 again, eh, Samus? The further Samus explores, the more interesting things become. The Chozo were known as a peaceful race, but the Federation has records of a Chozo warrior tribe, and it's looking like the planet ZDR was one of their settlements. While exploring, Samus also happens upon Kraid, chained up and not in a good mood. Okay, the video transmission of the X-Parasite was one thing. Maybe Samus was the target, maybe not. But Kraid? One of her arch-nemesis, chained up and waiting. Something is going down on ZDR, and there's little question left that Samus is the target of this particular trap. There are so many possibilities. Are the space pirates involved? Could Mother Brain make a comeback? And what happened to Samus that caused dramatic physical changes? Well, unfortunately, the answers to those questions will have to wait. This is an impressions video after all, and not a full review. While the story doesn't give me much to work with up to this point, the rest of the game's elements absolutely do. Structure-wise, it's pretty standard Metroid fare. Start out from zero and reclaim all of Samus's lost abilities, while maybe picking up a few new ones along the way. You need to use Samus's regained abilities to progress through the maze-like environments, at least so far. That being said, I really like how the game uses the EMI. Samus is warned pretty early on that she won't be able to harm the EMI without the special energy gained from a central unit, something she already learned firsthand. Each EMI is confined to a zone with special doors to enter and exit. Upon entering an EMI zone, the music fades away, replaced with the silent droning of machinery, accented with a mechanical pinging. There's a static filling the room, reducing visibility, as the low lights flicker, and a mysterious fog is leaking up from the ground. These rooms are tense and make me feel uneasy, and that's not even the end of it. When an EMI starts to get close to Samus, a mechanical chittering can be heard, getting louder the closer EMI gets. If it's close enough to hear her, the flickering light turns yellow, and if Samus is seen, the flickering light turns red, the zone doors are locked, and high-tension music starts playing. The chase is on, and if the EMI manages to catch Samus, it's most likely game over. There is a very small window to counter and escape, but good luck with that. The EMI zones aren't the only time the game uses atmosphere to communicate. Every room in the game is expertly crafted to give the player a specific feeling. Navigating through these environments feels great. Samus controls like a dream. She's so responsive, and I very rarely find myself taking a different action than I intended. Adding to the buttery smooth experience are 2 new moves that help keep Samus in motion. The first is a counter Samus can use while running. It does a lot of damage and doesn't require Samus to stop. The second is a Mega Man slide that allows Samus to quickly slide through narrow ground level passageways. These 2 simple additions make traversal a lot of fun, even when I'm running around completely lost. Which, never happens, of course. While exploring, I've only run across 2 new abilities for Samus so far. The first is the cloak ability they showed off in the trailers. It's nice to be able to turn invisible, but I rarely use it. Samus is slowed down significantly while cloaked, and coming into contact with an enemy still results in instant death, cloaked or not. Plus, if the enemy is actively searching for Samus, it will see right through the cloak. I had to find this out the hard way. More than once. The second ability is used to climb these blue glowing walls like Spider-Man, which is fun but a little too situational. I kinda wish they had entire rooms covered in this blue surface to make better use of the ability, or that it was an Aeon ability that allowed Samus to scale any wall or ceiling for a limited time. It's not that these are bad abilities, I just feel like they're too limited, or limited in the wrong way to be very versatile. Movement and abilities aside, the thing they got absolutely perfect about Samus is her personality. She's had so many moments in this game that speak volumes about who Samus is, even though Samus herself isn't allowed to speak. When she's headed to ZDR, Adam warns Samus that the bounty for the mission isn't worth the risk, but knowing what an ex-parasite could do if left to thrive, Samus continues her path to the planet. It's not about the money for her, and I love that. When she gets to the planet and is overwhelmed by the Chozo warrior, Samus never backs down. Even though she's completely outclassed, Samus manages to find a moment of vulnerability and damage the thing's helmet. Samus is a veteran in combat, and it shines through brilliantly. Then there's the boss finishers. In the first one, Samus casually walks away while charging her arm cannon in order to bait the creature into an attack. And the calm poise she walks away with while still faced with this monstrosity just oozes personality. Then with Kraid, she runs up his body, jumps through his open jaws, and effortlessly dodges his last attack, watching him sink into the lava as the confrontation ends. Finishing bosses feels amazing because of these little bits of Samus' personality that shine through, but what I'd argue is even more satisfying is putting down the Emmy. I already communicated the feelings of dread they create and how much of an obstacle they can be. I've lost a fair few lives attempting to navigate past them, but when I find a central unit and power up so I can put the finishing blow to them, it feels so good. Mostly because I'm in control. The camera shifts to a much more personal view. Once the Emmy is vulnerable, it stands up and walks towards Samus. I line up the shot and pull the trigger. I did that. I got to put down the mechanical stalker that was giving me so much trouble, and the relief of the Emmy's defeat is tangible in the environment. The static is gone, the music doesn't fade away anymore, the lights don't flicker, and wildlife returns to the area. I'm sure there's still plenty of this game left to experience, and even while making this video, I'm dying to continue playing so I can come back and give my thoughts on the full experience. But before I wrap things up completely, I wanted to leave you with some food for thought. While Metroid Dread has been an overall positive experience, that doesn't stop it from falling into the same trappings as so many Metroid games before it. Samus being forced to power down at the start of the game and needing to find mostly the same upgrades she finds in every game is wearing thin. How many times do we need to keep finding the Morph Ball, and bombs, and the Varia Suit? I realize that these items are a part of the Metroid experience, but relying too heavily on formulas has come back to haunt Nintendo in the past. They remedied some of this with the release of Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, breaking two of their most formulaic games out of the cycle, but a few others could use a fresh start as well. This has me wondering about Metroid Prime 4 and if it might redefine the Metroid series. Just look at the timeline. E3 2017. Prime 4 is announced as being in development by Bandai Namco. 2018, the game was revealed to be pretty far into production. January 2019. Just months later, the production of Prime 4 is completely started over by Retro Studios. June 2021. Prime 4 is still in development with nothing to show, but Metroid Dread will be released in 4 months. This strikes me as a bit strange. Don't get me wrong, I was ecstatic for a new Metroid, one that not only moves the story forward, but is stated to be the end of the storyline revolving around the titular Metroids. Just that it came right out of nowhere. I think at some point during the development of Prime 4, Nintendo realized they needed a change. The Nintendo wants to have a Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild equivalent for the Metroid series, and they probably decided that ending a storyline that began in 1986 would be the perfect way to transition into a new kind of Metroid game, giving closure before reinventing itself. Mind you, this is all baseless conjecture, but Metroid has been around for 35 years, and over all that time has struggled to find a larger audience. Or, to simplify it, Metroid games have historically not sold well. Not including spin-off titles, remakes, or the RPG series, Mario has had 32 mainline games come out in 35 years. while Metroid has had 11. If that doesn't underline Metroid's struggle, I don't know what else could. Metroid needs a new direction, something to finally make the same impact with general audiences that it has with its fans. And if there's a studio to do it, I think Retro is the right choice. They revived the series once before with Metroid Prime, so it's only fitting that they redefine the series with Metroid Prime 4. I've heard it said that doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results is the definition of insanity. But that sounds a lot more like being stubborn. Here's hoping Nintendo is just a bit more flexible when it comes to the future of Metroid.